Coming up, a retired choral director gets a big surprise from his former students.
No man deserves this.
Then, how one teacher stands up for his colleagues through stand-up.
You gotta do two things to have a short meeting. Shut up.
Plus, we meet one of America's oldest educators.
What else is there to do in life? Children make the whole world.
And finally, how a blind high school history teacher proves he's right where he should be.
The classroom is where I belong. I really believe that.
All of that and more on this special back-to-school edition of On the Road. Hello, I'm Steve Hartman. Thanks for joining us for our CBS News streaming series, where once a month we revisit some of my favorite stories from my 25 years on the road. As the sun-filled days of summer come to a close, other doors open. School is back in session, anxious and excited students fill the hallways, and of course teachers take their place in front of the blackboard. Or is it whiteboard? I don't know, I just know it's not inkwell anymore. Anyway, for the next half hour, we're going to feature some great stories about amazing teachers who have made an impact. Up first, a high school teacher who proves beyond a shadow of a doubt there's more to some teachers than meets the eye.
Tightrope walker, fashion designer, crossing guard. There are still jobs blind people can't do, but the list has been steadily shrinking, thanks to trailblazers like Jim Hughes of Farmingdale, New York.
Coming through.
Jim's story began more than 20 years ago during a meeting with his college counselor.
And I said, listen, I'm interested in teaching. And she goes, oh, that's really nice.
Which blind school do you want to teach at?
Exactly. I said, no, I want to teach in a public school.
Public high school?
She goes, no.
It wasn't bad advice. Remember, we didn't have all this assistive technology back then. And there weren't the laws mandating employers give people with disabilities a fair shot.
What do you mean?
Still, Jim sent out about 100 resumes.
I'll be honest and say this is the only real interview I got.
I came across that resume, and as I said, it took me by shock. How can a blind teacher possibly function in a classroom?
Steve Cusin was principal at the time.
And boy, am I glad that I took a second look at that resume, because it's made all the difference in the world to generations of students.
Has anyone seen images of soldiers coming home from Vietnam?
By all accounts, this history teacher has become one of the best teachers at Farmingdale High School.
It doesn't affect his teaching at all.
And not in spite of his blindness.
It almost helps him.
But because of it.
He became so good at verbalizing the information to the students.
In fact, the kids say it's their other teachers who can't always see.
They're blinded with the PowerPoints and the handouts and all that. Every teacher should try a day with a blindfold and really learn how to talk to your students.
Right.
The other thing he's surprisingly good at is keeping them honest.
There's no cheating whatsoever.
What?
He's too respected.
You respect him too much.
There'll be that rare kid, but they're shamed instantly.
Yeah.
You don't want to be that guy.
See if you could find the thematic essays.
The class may be history, but these kids are getting their doctorates in integrity.
You know what? I think I put them right on top of here. That's what happened.
And Jim Hughes is getting all he ever wanted. A chance to make a difference.
The classroom is where I belong. I really believe that.
Pretty easy to see.
Jim recently completed his 30th year of teaching. In our next story, we meet a woman whose students lovingly refer to her as Granny. But don't let the nickname fool you. She's no rocker-bound has-been. Take a look.
They say you're never too old to learn. But here at the Sundance Grade School in North Plainfield, New Jersey, they're proving you're never too old to teach either.
See my two legs?
Yes,
They still move.
they sure do.
That's home economics teacher Agnes Zalesnik, but the kids just call her Granny. It's a nickname she comes by honestly
Now pull it.
as the oldest living teacher in America.
Now you're all set.
She turns 100 on Sunday.
Do you know how old that is?
Very, 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 very old. I know people can get very old like that, but I wouldn't think that Granny would do it, even without a wheelchair.
Without a wheelchair, or any chair for that matter,
Fill the bottom up.
Agnes puts in a full day's teaching 5 days a week.
This is a good jelly.
She hasn't burned out on the job, partly because she hasn't been doing it that long.
Here.
She was a homemaker most of her life.
My husband didn't approve of working, so
He didn't want you to work?
he wanted me to watch the children.
So she did. Then she watched the grandchildren. Then she played a lot of bridge. But that got old and she still felt young. So Agnes started working here at the age of 81.
That's it.
Today she's so devoted to these kids.
Wow.
She hasn't even called in sick since she was 98.
Pincushion.
I just think she loves the children. She puts the love into her cooking.
Can you taste this love?
No, you can't taste love, but you can feel love.
I see.
And all the children love her because she's so nice, so compassionate. So she perseveres a lot.
For those reasons and 100 more, today the kids threw her a huge birthday party. Not a retirement party, mind you. She'll be back on Monday and hopes to keep working for years to come.
What else is there in life? Children make the whole world.
Or at the very least,
Let's get some more hugs.
make your day.
Okay.
Agnes passed away back in 2017 at the age of 103. But I've got a feeling her lessons and her legacy won't fade away anytime soon. Coming up in just a moment, we'll meet a Texas teacher who reached for the stars and got pretty close. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Thanks for being with us. The woman in our next story launched one of the country's most highly respected high school rocketry programs. That's no easy feat in small-town Texas. But this teacher got that done and more. Watch this.
In the middle of the Texas desert, on the border with Mexico, sits the tiny town of Presidio. This is the way in. And for some, this is the way out. If you're a kid looking to escape the poverty and isolation of Presidio, there's really no greater vehicle than the Presidio Rocket Club.
There's a thermal there.
It was launched a few years ago by a firecracker of a science teacher named Sheila Condino.
I wanted to teach the kids. You wanted something so bad, you put your heart into it. You grab your parts.
Her goal isn't really to make future rocket scientists. It's more just to make futures.
In rocketry, you don't have the instructions of how to build it. And that's how life is. It doesn't come with instructions. You have to make it on your own.
Her teacher knows all about that. Born dirt poor in the Philippines, Sheila came to the U.S. on a temporary work visa. Came to Presidio because no American teachers would. Now she really wants to stay. But to become a permanent resident, she has to prove to American immigration officials that she is a person of, quote, exceptional ability.
They are asking for more documents, more support, and I really do not know what else they would want from me.
You're the best aerospace teacher in America. What more could they want?
Thank you.
It wasn't me saying that. You've got the award.
She was recently honored as the Aerospace Teacher of the Year. It was no surprise to her students.
She'll teach you things and you'll learn it like this. As long as you pay attention, of course.
You're blocking the light.
She's such a motivating force. Her kids often get up before sunrise to learn and launch.
That's right.
Their passion is so present, you can probably see it from the moon.
Ejection charge ready?
Tomorrow, she and her kids will compete against some of the best schools in the country in the Team America Rocketry Challenge outside Washington, D.C.
Ready?
The challenge this year is to make your rocket go as close to 800 feet as possible.
Where is it?
Then return it to Earth in between 43 and 47 seconds.
Stop! 44!
Oh, and one other thing. You've got to preserve 2 raw eggs inside.
This was fine.
And to think they do this with equipment that's mostly begged, borrowed, and broken, on a budget that's mostly bake sales, barbecues, and a goat auction.
What's it going to be like if you show up there in Washington and win this thing?
Oh my God. Nobody even knows where we're at. And then you represent the United States. That would be a big thing.
And as for her dream of becoming a permanent resident of these United States, on that, the teacher would be wise to listen to the students.
Never give up. You can do anything in this world as long as you never give up.
Sometimes even the sky isn't the limit.
That's awesome.
Sheila now teaches at a high school in Virginia, but she didn't leave her precious Presidio students behind. she still teaches rocketry to them over the aptly named Zoom. As for the green card, she won't be needing that any longer. Last year, Sheila was granted U.S. citizenship. Up next, I'd like you to meet a real stand-up guy. Take a look.
There we go. Let's go.
At a Varnett charter school in Houston, Eddie Brown is teaching 6th graders about the different forms of energy.
Mechanical energy is movement.
The kids love him in the classroom.
Good job today, Geek.
But by all accounts, Eddie is even more effective in the teacher's lounge, where he demonstrates the power of laughter.
She speaks Spanish, Mr. Brown.
Eddie is always making fun of his frustrations, always finding humor in the tortures of the job.
As soon as they leave,
And his audience can clearly relate.
What is you doing? Oh, you feel that way too? Ha! I thought I was the only one. I'm not crazy. I already knew my immediate circle of teachers went through it. But I didn't know that this transcended districts and states, countries.
Eddie discovered that reach quite by accident. About a year ago, he posted a video on his Facebook page, called it What Public School Teachers Really Say.
Professional development. I'm as professionally developed as I'm gonna get.
That video went viral, as did the next.
See, this is why I tip the bartender so much. She the only one that understands me.
And now, 60 videos later, that ordinary science teacher from Houston is an icon among educators, selling out his teachers-only comedy tour across the country. It's like Elvis with a master's degree, performing an entire set about mandatory staff meetings.
You gotta do 2 things to have a short meeting. Shut up.
What did you tap into?
It's what they want to say and don't say. First of all, we don't get paid enough. I can't stress that enough. It's not being able to teach how you want to teach.
And in that sense, there's nothing funny about his comedy.
Don't do that in my class.
There's this underlying theme to each joke, that teachers are fed up with being micromanaged and would like to be trusted again. In fact, at the end of each concert, Eddie is as serious as detention.
So don't let them snatch your creativity. We're getting tired of it.
And that's how this one man came to speak for an occupation.
In 2017, Eddie decided to step away from his role as a teacher to pursue comedy full-time. Since then, he's been on 3 tours, and he's actually out on tour right now. After the break, how a group of students sung the praises of the music teacher who changed their lives. We'll be right back. Welcome back. We hope you're enjoying this special show celebrating the start of the new school year and all the amazing teachers who make it possible. In front of the classroom, he stood alone for 30 years. But take a look at the chorus of appreciation we saw from his Oklahoma students.
On quiet days, which they all are now, retired high school music teacher Robert Moore likes to pore over the list, the names of all 900 of his former students.
1966 to 1996.
30 years directing one of the greatest high school choral groups in the country, the Ponca City Chorale of Ponca City, Oklahoma. What he wouldn't give to relive those times.
Wouldn't it be great to get those kids back together?
But there's no way that could happen.
Nah.
Actually, I was playing dumb. There is very much a way, and it was already in the works.
But it would be fun.
Unbeknownst to Mr. Moore, for the past year, a small group of students have been plotting a surprise. They lured him out to the country and then hit him with the greatest gift a teacher can receive.
My gosh.
From across America and 3 foreign countries, Robert Moore's former students returned.
Julie.
Nearly 300 of them.
Oh, good to see you.
All here to tell Mr. Moore the huge difference he made in their lives.
So good to see you.
Many went into education.
You're the reason, sir, I'm teaching right now.
Many more pursued music.
Had a 25-year career singing with the LA Opera and all around the country, and it wouldn't have happened without you.
Just a man who touched so many lives.
Helped turn my life around. Not real sure where I'd be without him.
To repay their debt of gratitude, the students rented out the old Ponkin Theater and put on one last show for their mentor.
Please be seated.
Their harmonic voices and their cumulative success are no doubt a testament to what a good teacher can accomplish in a career. And I say good teacher, which isn't always the same as a likable teacher.
Discipline was huge.
Lots and lots of discipline.
He was not warm and fuzzy, not at all.
Not a lot of hugging, not a lot of affection.
But if you got a little smile from him,
half of a grin from him,
that was gold.
And on this night, they definitely hit gold.
No man deserves this.
Tough teachers often go unappreciated for years. But if they're great, eventually the thanks do come thundering, giving the teacher an opportunity at last.
I loved you then.
To show his students how he felt all along.
And I love you now. Thank you.
That's still one of my favorite stories. Our next story takes us to sunny Florida, land of beaches and orange groves and a snowman? Well, they say teachers can do the impossible, so let's find out. It all started here at South Shore Charter Academy outside Tampa, when teacher Robin Hughes opened a book about snow.
It's cold.
And got a frosty reception.
They just had this perplexed look on their face. Then that's when I asked the question, how many of you all have never seen snow before?
As we first reported a few months ago,
A lot of you.
hands shot up.
Yeah, never seen snow. I saw it on a TV show, like Ice Age. It had snow. I'm like, what is snow, people?
Clearly, Robin had tapped into a desperate yearning that she wanted to satisfy.
Good.
Unfortunately, it hasn't snowed in Central Florida in 45 years. Still, Robin wasn't about to let a little thing like meteorology get in her way. So she reached out to her sister in Kentucky and went full out Frozen.
She asked me if I want to build a snowman.
Amber Estes begrudgingly agreed to ship her sister this snowman.
And I said, if he makes it to Tampa, his name is going to be Lucky.
He made it.
Meet Lucky.
I was so excited when I opened the box. I mean, I could not wait to go in the classroom with them.
So, all winter long, Lucky ventured out of the cafeteria freezer, ever so briefly, to grant these poor snow-deprived children a chance to see and feel the mini miracle that is a snowman.
And as a teacher, that's what you want. You just want that joy.
The first time I met Lucky, I said he's handsome like a boy. Yes.
Perhaps no one was more smitten than 5-year-old Momo.
I love him. I knew I would kiss him. I knew it.
Is that the first boy you wanted to kiss?
Yes. And the second boy I'm going to kiss
You
my
don't
dad.
have to. Okay, good. All right.
It has been 2 months since we first told this story, and all these warm greetings have finally taken their toll.
There we go. Look at that.
On Earth Day, the kids reintroduced Lucky back into the water cycle.
So maybe you can guys see him another day.
And although goodbyes are always hard,
I miss Lucky.
the nice thing about life on Earth
Lucky's gonna forever live in our hearts.
is that for every farewell, there's a hello.
It's nice to meet you, Lucky the Tree.
Lucky the Tree.
On the road with Momo.
When her students melted Lucky, Robin took some of the water and put it in a necklace that she wears every day now in remembrance of him. Up next, we meet a calculus teacher from California with an alter ego his students never saw coming. Welcome back. Students at St. Francis High School thought their math teacher was who he seemed to be. However, one student found out you can't even judge a calculus book by its cover. Take a look. There's something to be said about math teacher Jim O'Connor.
Substitute back for y.
The question is,
What is that something?
Truncate or round it.
When you think of him, does the word love come to mind?
Obviously not.
He's very,
For whatever reason, none of these kids would tell me what they really think of him.
oh, what's the word?
Yeah, none of the boys have come in here and said, oh God, we have hated him, at times. Nobody said that. I wonder why.
He's going to be seeing this, right?
Oh, yeah, that's why.
Truth is, Mr. O'Connor can be a bit of a drudge.
You don't know what you're doing.
But the 70-year-old Vietnam vet says he's not here to entertain his students.
It drives me crazy when people say school should be fun. I mean, it's nice if it could be, but you can't make school fun. E to the KT times E to the C.
And for years, the kids thought that's all there was to him. Until last November, when senior Pat McGoldrick learned they didn't know the half of him.
Pat was in charge of a student blood drive and had just come here to Children's Hospital Los Angeles for a meeting. He says it was weird. Whenever he told someone he went to St. Francis High School, they all said, oh, you must know Jim O'Connor. Isn't he wonderful? Wonderful?
What? Like, it was disbelief, really. It's almost like kind of finding this alter ego that he has.
Inside the blood donor center, Pat found a plaque listing all the top blood donors at the hospital, including the record holder, Jim O'Connor. Then he learned something even more unbelievable, that whenever Mr. O'Connor isn't torturing kids with calculus, he's on a whole nother tangent, cuddling sick babies.
Come on, you can talk to me.
3 days a week for the past 20 years, Jim has volunteered here, stepping in when parents can't to hold, feed, and comfort their children.
Solo.
Nurse Erin Schmidt says he's invaluable.
They tend to calm for him. They tend to relax with him. They fall asleep with him.
I just like them and relate to them somehow. Is that a smile?
Jim's never been married. He has no kids of his own.
Yeah.
But he has fallen hard for these babies.
I don't want to see him alone. You can't do that.
You're not a tough guy at all.
I know, but don't tell my students. If you do the calculation.
Sometimes you think you know someone, but you don't have the slightest. Sometimes you think you're learning calculus, but the real lesson is life.
I've always respected him, but now it's in even a different degree. Really, is to the point where I try to emulate him. He's the epitome of a man of service.
Believe it or not, he still goes to the hospital 3 times a week just to hold his babies. Well, that concludes our special. We wish you all a wonderful school year. And remember, for brand new On the Road stories, don't forget to tune into the CBS Evening News with Nora O'Donnell every Friday night. Until then, I'm Steve Hartman. Stay kind.